Content warning. The following video contains material that may be harmful or traumatizing to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the hit list. You can't escape your face on the news. Don't mess with fate. Locked up in prison, wood chipper running hot. Police on a mission, hope you don't get caught. Silver bracelets tight, get arrested tonight. In this endless fight, can't hide from the lies. Lies and deception, caught in the storm. Future in question, nowhere left to run. Silver bracelets tight, get arrested tonight. In this endless fight, can't hide from the light. The choices you made, heading one way. No turning back, this price to pay. Lies and deception, caught in the storm. Future in question, nowhere left to run. Silver bracelets tight, get arrested tonight. In this endless fight, can't hide from the light. The choices you made, heading one way. No turning back, this price to pay. Oh yeah, no, no, yeah, yeah. The choices you made, heading one way. No turning back, this price to pay. Oh. Whoa, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
A seminary man is behind bars facing child molestation charges. 36-year-old Ernest Cleveland Fortenberry has been charged with one count of touching a child for lustful purposes. He was arrested Monday and made his first appearance in Justice Court Tuesday. Judge Billy Pitt set his bond at $500,000. Authorities say the incident happened at Fortenberry's residence in Seminary.
It was about a month and a half ago. The child told his mom a few days prior to this, and she contacted investigators. They set up a forensic interview with Kids Hub in Hattiesburg. They believed that they had enough, so they contacted the DA's office, felt like they had enough evidence for a probable cause. Judge signed the warrant, and we picked him up Monday.
Fortenberry had work as a bus mechanic and part-time bus driver for the Covington County School District, but the district said that as of Tuesday, Fortenberry was no longer employed with.
Right now, we're working to learn more about what led up to a daycare worker being arrested on sexual assault charges. This happened in Avon earlier this week. Your reporter Taylor Knight live there to explain what we know so far. Taylor.
Police say it happened here at Bright Path Avon Early Learning and Child Center, and they first started an investigation here because a staff member alerted them to inappropriate behavior. 29-year-old Giancarlos Barrios Otero was arrested on Tuesday. He works at Bright Path Avon Early Learning and Child Center on Simsbury Road. According to Avon police, an administrator reported that a staff member may have had inappropriate contact with a child inside the facility on March 30th. Barrios Otero is now facing charges of sexual assault and risk of injury to a child. He's being held on a $250,000 bond. Bright Path says Barrios Otero no longer works here at the facility, and Avon police are working with the administration here to notify any families that may have been impacted by this. Your reporter live in Avon, Taylor Knight, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Taylor, thank you.
Okay, normally when they don't show a picture, you know how I like to show them. So, I searched up the name, and here's Google Images right here. We got two guys. Neither of them look like a Juan Carlos to me, but yeah, they both say Avon daycare worker, now former staff member, Avon daycare worker. So, what's going on here? Well, click on another news article and let me show you something. We're going to get, it's kind of funny. The most read, here's our two suspects. Hartford police charged 21-year-old murder, 21-year-old with murder and a shooting death. And then underneath it, man arrested for driving the wrong direction. So, imagine the community. You're out there and you see this guy on the bottom and you're imagining that he's a child molester. And imagine the backlash that he's going to get for driving the wrong direction. This is unreal. So after a little bit more digging here, we find, yeah, we got him. There he is. There's our suspect. I'm telling you, this is just insane.
Details tonight about the arrest of a Bardstown High School teacher. Police say an anonymous tip sparked an investigation into allegations involving Mary Hannah Mattingly and a student. Edward Smith went to Bardstown to speak with one of the detectives working the case.
Bardstown police say that it was an anonymous letter that first informed them of the alleged sexual abuse by a Bardstown High School teacher and coach. A detective tells us the letter alleged an inappropriate relationship between Hannah Mattingly and a Bardstown High School student.
We started conducting interviews, follow up with information from the letter, verified some things, and then, yeah, got to where we are today.
According to police, Mattingly is a permanent substitute teacher and assistant girls soccer coach at the school. They say through the investigation, they found the alleged relationship between her and the student lasted several months and involved sexual contact. Detective Eric Williamson says Mattingly used social media to communicate with the victim.
There were multiple partially nude photographs sent to the student.
Williamson says at this time there does not appear to be more victims and their investigation is ongoing.
Just waiting on that forensic evidence to come back and see what that shows, and then just a few more interviews and other documents to collect.
In the meantime, police hope the arrest sends a message to other victims of this nature.
We follow up on those tips. This is a perfect example of, somebody was concerned about an inappropriate relationship. The only way they thought they could let somebody know was to send an anonymous letter, and look what it has yielded. And we've gotten a teacher out of the school system that was involved in this kind of activity with a student.
And the community.
Bardstown Police Department's not going to tolerate this type of stuff. And the community, this should not happen. This should not be a concern when you send your kids off to school.
In Bardstown, Edward Smith, WLKY News.
A pastor is facing 7 charges for allegedly sexually abusing a child under 13. Our Jennifer Hoff has been digging into the disturbing charges all day and joins us now with the latest. Jennifer?
Julie, I spoke to that suspect today, and he denies all of the charges, saying that he is no longer affiliated with the church in Little Falls that he and his wife just took over 6 months ago. A church 100 miles northwest of Minneapolis is as small as the town it's in. The sign out front still says its pastors are David and Kristen Demengi, a couple who came up from Hutchinson to Little Falls just 6 months ago to take over from its longtime leaders who retired. But David confirming to me today he's no longer in charge. Court documents show he's now facing 7 counts of sexually abusing a child. Allegations David also says he denies. That McLeod County prosecutors say started in 2013, writing he watched the victim take a shower and would, quote, touch her after. The documents also alleging David started saying sexual jokes. Her family speaking out about the accusations, Carol Evan altering their voice to further protect everyone's identities.
She went from wanting to dance and hang out with friends and be in public spaces to just being so closed off.
The documents allege the abuse continued for 5 years. Her family hopeful they can now all get the help they need.
Pastors are supposed to be people you look up to, and they're supposed to be role models. They're not supposed to be people who hurt you.
Now we know tonight Domengue has not been arrested in this case, but is expected to show up for his first court appearance coming up on May 4th. Law enforcement didn't answer my questions today, so it's unclear if there are other victims. But the impacted family in this case says that he also worked at a charter school and coached hockey. So some questions still left unanswered, but for this family, they say that they're frustrated, but they're glad that they have some answers and can move forward here with some healing.
All right. And what about that church? I mean, he just took over. I'm assuming it was a longtime pastor that retired.
There was a husband and wife who were at that church for 50 years before this couple took over. They retired. It's unclear what's going to happen to that church now, or if somebody else can take over. But there were people inside there tonight, but none of them spoke to us.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah.
A multi-agency law enforcement sting in Columbia County ended with the arrest of 17 people. Operation Running Wild ran for 4 days to make sure sexual offenders and predators were registering properly. Investigators contacted 264 people, arresting 13 offenders and 4 predators. They faced various charges, including failure to report changes in residence, vehicles, email addresses, and employment. Another sex offender was arrested on a warrant from Wisconsin.
On the state sex offender registry has been reportedly popping up around schools in the Omaha area.
KETV News Watch 7's Madison Perales learns what law enforcement and school districts are doing to keep students safe. She joins us live in studio. Madison.
Yeah, Bill Quinicia, this is 19-year-old Nyoke Nyok. And the Douglas County Sheriff's Office says the victim in his sex convictions were 22 and 30 years old. He was convicted in October. Now local schools say they have seen him attempt to talk to students. Bellevue Police Department confirmed with KETV that in December, Nyok was outside Bryan High School during after-school hours. Police say he was asked to leave and was later cited for trespassing. Omaha Public Schools says our district has layers of safety protocols and we regularly train with safety teams on those procedures. More recently,
in Douglas County is that he's shown up at Ralston High School and was walking around on the grounds during school hours.
Douglas County Sheriff Captain Nate Kovarik says their deputies were at the school and served him a abandoned bar.
It appeared to some of the staff that he was following some of the students and was attempting to interact with them.
The school district sent a letter to staff and families the next day notifying them of what happened.
It can be either verbal or a written notice.
Word spread throughout the community, and Bellevue and Papillion-La Vista school districts took action. Papillion-La Vista schools saying it acted promptly in coordination with local law enforcement. And Bellevue Public Schools saying it proactively worked with law enforcement to issue a ban and bar.
You've been banned and barred from someplace and you come back and you get caught and you get arrested for it.
I also spoke with Sarpy County Sheriff's Office, which is aware of the man showing up around schools. They've sent out a bulletin so that all school resource officers can keep an eye out.
If it was my case, I would arrest him and take him into physical custody.
Omaha police say they just arrested him Tuesday for violating a ban and bar at a convenience store. Nyok will be on the registry for 15 years, requiring him to check in every year until then. Back to you, Bill.
Greg. And Martha, a former Flagler County paramedic found guilty of sexually battering a patient in the back of his ambulance could spend up to 21 more years in prison. James Mulady pled no contest in court this afternoon in a case involving his ex-girlfriend and his ex-girlfriend's children. Channel 9 Volusia County reporter Demi Johnson joins me live at the Justice Center in Daytona Beach tonight. And Demi, Milady had two choices in court today.
Greg, he could either enter in an open plea or he could go to trial. Today, he chose that plea. And Milady, of course, is already serving a prison sentence for his sexual battery case in Flagler County.
Sir, do you have any?
James Milady was back in court Tuesday, this time for a video voyeurism case out of Volusia County. The former Flagler County paramedic was sentenced to 10 years in prison in February of this year after being found guilty of molesting an unconscious patient in the back of his ambulance in 2021. Volusia County investigators say in 2023 he broke into his ex-girlfriend's home and set up cameras in her bedroom, television, and bathroom. They found video evidence showing Milady's ex and her children, who are minors, dressing and undressing. The recordings also show Milady setting up the camera and using his cell phone to live stream the feed. Milady's charges in Volusia County include burglary of an unoccupied dwelling, video voyeurism, and criminal mischief, which carry a combined sentence of up to 21 years in prison. Because he entered an open plea, it comes with no conditions, meaning there's no guarantee on how his sentence will be served.
Your attorneys, I'm sure, will be arguing for either a downward departure or maybe something concurrent with what was imposed up in Flagler County, but I'm not bound by that.
And the judge set Milady's sentencing for June 23rd at 9 a.m., but said he hopes to be able to make that happen much sooner. We'll keep you updated on what happens. Live in Daytona Beach, Demi Johnson, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
An Oak Ridge man is charged with multiple sex crimes involving an underage girl. Blount County deputies say Ethan Owens faces 4 counts of rape, 2 counts of statutory rape, and 2 counts of exploitation of a minor through electronic means. The sheriff says the 24-year-old sent a 13-year-old girl sexually explicit material and forced her into a sexual relationship without her consent. Earlier this year, Madisonville police also charged him with aggravated statutory rape. He's now in the Blount County jail on bonds totaling $400,000.
A crime alert in Miami-Dade County. A, quote, trusted member of the community went before a judge today accused of kissing a minor multiple times. Local 10's crime specialist Bridget Matter joins us live from North Miami Beach with the details. Bridget?
And according to that police report, he told this victim he can't wait for her to turn 18 years old. Now he's been arrested, and the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office, they are asking the public, if you believe you may be a victim of this man, to come forward. Shea Lunger was considered a trusted member of the community. According to this website, he served as a chaplain for the city of North Miami Beach and is a registered agent of the local nonprofit Chest of South Florida. But Miami-Dade Sheriff's deputies arrested the 54-year-old after a 15-year-old girl accused him of lewd and lascivious conduct. An arrest form says Lunger was at the teen's home and went into her bedroom. The report says he told her, quote, to put away her sexy things when referring to her breast area, and, quote, proceeded to hug the victim and kissed her multiple times. The defendant kissed the victim near her lips and asked her to kiss him and exited the room. Local 10 interviewed him years ago when he was part of a neighborhood patrol, talking about an incident that put the local Jewish community on high alert. In this instance, Lunger told police the accusations are all a lie. He appeared before a judge following his arrest, his lawyer speaking for him.
There's nothing sexual about the allegation.
His lawyer sent us this short statement, quote, my client looks forward to the true facts coming out. In reality, this is a prime example of no good deed goes unpunished. And it appears he has since bonded out of jail. Again, the public is being asked, if you believe you're a victim of this person, you're asked to come forward. We're live in Miami. Bridget Matter, Local 10 News.
After being convicted by a jury last December of sexually abusing a child, 31-year-old Nicholas Wicca of West Fargo has been sentenced to life in prison. He'll be eligible for parole in 30 years. For background on all this, here's our original report from last year. Nicholas Colin Wicca of West Fargo is facing 3 counts of gross sexual imposition. It's alleged that between August 1st of 2024 to August 31st of 2024, he allegedly had sex or sexual contact with a female child who was under the age of 15. 2 of the 3 counts of gross sexual imposition against Wicca are Class AA felonies that carry a maximum sentence of life in prison. Again, that was our original report from last year. Wicca now sentenced to life in prison. I'm Neil Carlson reporting for iNews.TV.
Hi there, good evening. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. A Granby man has been accused of child molestation for the second time in 5 years. Ronald Spears is charged with child molestation and statutory sodomy in Newton County. He is accused of sexually abusing a 5-year-old relative on multiple occasions between January and March of this year. He's been on supervised probation from a 2023 conviction for second-degree assault. In that case, according to court records, he was originally charged with 2 counts of child molestation on allegations he was sexually abusing 2 female relatives for a number of years. The girls were 8 and 11. Because he pled down to the assault, he received a 7-year suspended sentence and 5 years probation. He was not supposed to have unsupervised contact with any minors. He is currently in the Newton County Jail on no bail.
An accused child predator is behind bars tonight after an arrest in Homewood. Police say 41-year-old Chase Womble of Georgia was arrested during an operation in the Edgewood area. Investigators say he's charged with traveling to meet a child for an unlawful sex act. He is now being held in the Jefferson County Jail on a $60,000 bond.
Lubbock County grand jury handed down formal child sexual abuse charges against a former Shallow-Water band director. Joseph Gonzalez is now indicted for the continuous sexual abuse of multiple children. Court documents obtained by KCBD show law enforcement uncovered sexual messages between Gonzalez and several of his students dating back to 2023. The students told police he would pressure them into sex at their respective homes, his house, or on school campus. The Shallow-Water School District suspended Gonzalez in February when the students reported him. He's currently in the Lubbock County Detention Center on a $500,000 bond.
Morning. And we start with some news out of Onslow County, where a former New Jersey teacher is facing more child sex charges. The 35-year-old William Alston was arrested Tuesday by the Onslow County Sheriff's Office for 2 counts of statutory sex offense with a child by an adult. Warrants show that in January 2025, Alston engaged in sexual activities with a child who was 3 years old. The arrest comes after Alston was extradited to North Carolina in December 2025 following a 2-month-long investigation by the Sheriff's Office, where he was charged with 4 counts of indecent liberties with a child and 1 count of statutory sex offense with a child by an adult. In that case, detectives began their investigation in September following a report of sexual assault of a minor. Deputies say that during the investigation, 2 girls told detectives that Alston of Aberdeen, New Jersey, had sexually assaulted them. They say Alston was a teacher in New Jersey and was visiting Onslow County when the crimes occurred. The 35-year-old man is now in the Onslow County Jail, where he remains under no bond. His next court appearance is scheduled for April 14th.
A former standout college football star with a criminal history, now convicted of sexually abusing foster children. Those children were in the care of a Chicago facility at the center of a massive investigation.
Our CBS News Chicago investigator Megan DeMar joins us now. And Megan, for years we've been digging into these allegations made against employees at Aunt Martha's Integrated Care.
Right, Joe and Erica, it's a facility that provided emergency placement for kids under the care of DCFS. And the abuse accusations are no longer just allegations, with one of the former employees being found guilty by a jury late last week. Court records show Trulon Henry worked for Aunt Martha's Youth Center as a manager from January 2023 to April 2024, during which time 5 kids between the ages of 12 and 17 disclosed grooming and sexual abuse. More than a year and a half after he was arrested and charged last week, a Cook County jury found him guilty of predatory criminal sexual assault of a child. It's still a mystery how Henry was hired in the first place, because the once standout linebacker at the University of Illinois was a convicted felon.
I sacrificed my body and my life.
His a real-life redemption story after being convicted of armed robbery when he was 19, a fact highlighted in several news reports and in a Big Ten Network feature story in 2010.
Trulon was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison.
He was the second Aunt Martha's employee arrested and charged with abuse of a child. First came Antonio Hopkins, who worked at Aunt Martha's through a third-party security firm, A-Alert, the subject of a letter obtained by the CBS News Chicago investigators to the Inspector General of the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services from the Cook County Public Guardian. which shows that Aunt Martha's started raising concerns with A-Alert employees as early as 2022, after DCFS was made aware of a July 2023 incident report involving a kid and Antonio Hopkins. DCFS Deputy Director of Child Services wrote, "Let's all review the allegations outlined in this document and be prepared to provide evidence to dispute it. I am certain most of this is a stretch based on one occurrence, anecdote, and general misrepresentation." But incidents continued, and a January 2024 email shows that additional staff was brought in to specifically oversee A-Alert staff, so guards to guard the guards. Emails show Aunt Martha's repeatedly asked DCFS to move away from using A-Alert. In fact, Aunt Martha's has communicated our concerns regarding A-Alert to DCFS no fewer than 20 times, the CEO wrote in March of 2024. And DCFS responded to us late today telling us it has ended its contract with Aunt Martha's and DCFS is phasing out its contracts with A-Alert. DCFS says A-Alert was a subcontractor of Aunt Martha's and Aunt Martha's had the unilateral ability to remove them at any time. So far, Aunt Martha's nor A-Alert have responded to our request for comment. Joe and Erica.
Thanks, Megan.
A Hamilton man will spend the next 3 decades in prison for secretly recording young girls and filming sex with a teen. 34-year-old Jonathan Brown was sentenced today. He hid outside bedroom windows and put cameras in laundry baskets to record minors getting out of the shower. He then told the victims that he needed the videos for, quote, medical reasons. Court records say that he also groomed a 15-year-old and sold sexually explicit pictures threatening self-harm to get that teen to cooperate. In August of 2024, he led police on a wild chase around Dayton before driving onto a moving train and starting the SWAT situation. Police couldn't get Brown out until they used tear gas and a canine to bring him down. Brown pleaded guilty to the pornography charges back in October.
A Jacksonville man is in jail facing several charges, including statutory rape. Ashton Lamb was arrested by Jacksonville police officers this morning. The 19-year-old is charged with 2 counts of statutory rape of a child 15 years old or younger, 2 counts of indecent liberties with a child, and first-degree statutory sex offense. Warrants say the crimes were committed against 2 victims, including one who was under 13 years old. Warrants list that several of the offenses happened on Sunday, while one of his charges stems from a rape that happened in February. Lamb was taken to Onslow County Jail and is being held without bond.
News starts now with breaking news.
And breaking this afternoon at 4, Louisiana rapper Mystical pleaded guilty to 3rd-degree rape charges moments ago. Thank you for joining us here at 4. I'm Tisha Powell. Mystical now faces a maximum of 20 years in prison. Rapper Mystical, whose legal name is Michael Tyler, was arrested in 2022 on rape and domestic abuse charges. The judge in the case ordered a pre-sentence investigation before the sentencing, which is set for June 16th. Tyler faced similar charges back in 2004 for sexually assaulting his hairstylist. He would end up spending 6 years behind bars and labeled a registered sex offender.
Well, Manville police say 7 people are under arrest this morning after an online sting targeting suspected child predators, and one of those arrested is now tied to the Children's Museum of Houston.
KPRC 2 News reporter Haley Hernandez joining us now with more on these disturbing allegations. Haley.
Yeah, so police say the multi-day operation started last Wednesday, working with the Houston Metro Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Force. Investigators say the suspect believed they were communicating with minors online. So these are the men that Manville police arrested as part of this operation. They are charged with online solicitation of a minor. And one of the men arrested is 50-year-old Louis Anthony Salinas. Police information lists that name, and a tipster tells us that he may also go by Tony Salinas. And if you have kids, here's why this is important for you to have this information. The Children's Museum of Houston tells us that Salinas is a former employee and says that it took immediate action after learning of these allegations. The statement from the Children's Museum reads, "We maintain strict policies and procedures designed to protect children, including thorough background checks and clear standards of conduct for all staff. We continuously review and strengthen these measures to ensure a safe, trusted and welcoming environment for every child and family that we serve. And then they go on to say that they can't offer more details out of respect for this process and all involved. Police also say that it's not going to end here. 4 more arrests are pending warrants. So we're going to give you an update as soon as we learn more information.
Now a man from Ada sentenced to 45 years behind bars. His name, Brian Countryman. Now in March, he pleaded guilty to aggravated possession of child sexual abuse material. Agents with the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation got a tip he had sexual material of children. They then got a search warrant of Countryman's social media, proving that tip to be true.
According to investigators, this started when a homeowner noticed a flashlight outside of his kid's window. They say things got much worse from there. It happened at about 10 p.m. Monday night in the 4000 block of Knight Heron Court in Waldorf. Authorities tell us that homeowner went to investigate. He saw a man kneeling by his young kid's window performing a lewd act. Officers say the homeowner yelled at the suspect, who then spit on the homeowner before fleeing. Ultimately, 63-year-old Philip Keys, also of Waldorf, was found only about 300 feet away and arrested. Keys is now charged with indecent exposure, peeping Tom, and second-degree assault. As you'd imagine, some neighbors are shaken up by the news. That includes Frank Middlebrook, who told us, while he's not sure if he saw Keys specifically, he did see a man walking with a flashlight Monday night.
I never heard nothing like that before, especially not like that, with kids going in people's windows. Never heard of that. It's crazy.
Does it concern you?
Definitely. It's crazy. It shouldn't be happening, you know what I mean?
Keys appeared in court Tuesday and is being held without bond. The Charles County Sheriff's Office is asking anyone with any information about this case to please give them a call.
A 51-year-old is charged with sexual exploitation of a minor. Aiken County deputies arrested Mark Goldman earlier today following a cyber tip of child sexual abuse material. Warrants say Goldman used the Discord app to send material that had a minor or morphed image of a minor engaged in sexual activity.
In our crime tracker tonight, a Lincoln man will spend 3 years in prison as part of a plea deal. Connor Seacrest, who was sentenced this week, was charged with having child pornography and pleaded to an attempt of a felony. Connor Seacrest was arrested last July after investigators were alerted to a child pornography file downloaded in January of 2024 to an IP address belonging to Seacrest. A search warrant turned up 30 electronic devices, including 18 external hard drives. Seacrest took the plea deal in January of this year and will have a year and a half of post-release supervision after prison.
A Laurel man is now behind bars after he was charged with molesting, touching a child for lustful purpose. 35-year-old Sean Bostick was arrested yesterday by the Lamar County Sheriff's Office and picked up by the Jones County Sheriff's Department. The Sheriff's Department was made aware of the incident by Child Protective Services. The department says the male victim was 11 years old at the time. JCST says it happened while Bostick was living with the victim and his family. His bond was set at $150,000.
First at 10 on this Tuesday, a former Pikes Peak State College instructor is behind bars tonight. Jason Gunderson is accused of sexual assault on a child, an underage teen who investigators say attended his classes for more than a year. Sheriff's Office says the investigation began in February 2026. They say Gunderson used his role as a professor to manipulate the victim into the relationship. He was arrested last Friday and now faces 77 counts of alleged sexual assault on a child by one in a position of trust. Tonight we have the arrest papers for the suspect. 11 News reporter Elena Tomish is live outside of Pikes Peak State College. Elena, a spokesperson there says Gunderson has not worked at the college since last summer.
Adam, they say he hasn't been employed here since last June. Now, according to online records, he was an American Sign Language lecturer here at Pikes Peak State College. And while he was with that student, he apparently promised things like an internship and higher exam grades. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office says the investigation began in February 2026 over allegations that Jason Gunderson, who was employed by Pikes Peak State College, had an inappropriate sexual relationship with a minor student. According to arrest papers, the teen began attending Gunderson's classes when she was 16 in the fall of 2023. The documents claim a sexual relationship began when the victim was 17. The arrest papers say the victim told investigators the relationship started professionally. In the papers, the victim said she would stay after class with clarification questions. The papers say over a series of months, the communication between instructor and student turned to personal topics. The papers also say when the victim turned 18, he gave her alcohol and marijuana and even physically hit the victim on at least one occasion. According to the sheriff's office, Gunderson promised the victim an internship and manipulating the grading system to give the victim high exam scores. Gunderson's LinkedIn says he was an American Sign Language lecturer at the college for almost 10 years. A spokesperson with PPSC told 11 News, quote, "The college takes this matter seriously and is cooperating with law enforcement." They go on to say, "We remain committed to maintaining a safe and supportive environment for students and employees across our campuses." Now, Gunderson is still in jail tonight. He's out on a $50,000 bond, and he's due back in court a week from today. Of course, we will let you know once we learn more. Live in Colorado Springs, Elena Tomish, KKTV 11 News.
Just a point of clarification, he's facing a $50,000 bond, but is still in jail tonight. Elena, thank you.
An Eau Claire North High School teacher is out of jail tonight, and we've learned new details about the charges against her. Charges coming just days after her arrest last week for alleged child sexual assault. We're talking about 22-year-old Nadia Horn, who was in court today for an initial appearance. Let's bring you up to date. The judge set a bond for $15,000, which we've learned was paid, allowing Horn to leave jail. She faces second-degree sexual assault of a child under 16 years old, 2 counts of child enticement, and 2 counts of sexual assault of a child by a person who works or volunteers with children. Fox's Katrina Lim details the newest information just released today.
In an interview with Eau Claire police, one of the victims said Horn bought him a cell phone and began Snapchatting with him, sending the 16-year-old student, quote, really revealing pictures. When talking with police, Horn said she got close to victim 1 because he needed support. Horn reported she thought she had sex with victim 1 3 times at her Eau Claire apartment and stated, "I made a mistake." She also admitted to having sexual intercourse with a second victim, another 16-year-old student, twice. Horn said, quote, "It just felt mutual and that it didn't feel like she was taking advantage." In March, Horn said she brought victim 1, victim 2, and a third student to her apartment because they needed a ride from somewhere. She added she gave them wine because they asked. Surveillance video from Horn's apartment building confirms Horn and 3 teenage boys entered her apartment March 15th and left the next morning. She was arrested last Wednesday, March 25th.
Thank you, Katrina. If convicted, Horn could face up to 40 years in prison and a $100,000 fine. She's due back in court in May 20th. The Eau Claire Area School District says Horn is suspended without pay while the case moves forward.
These predators didn't just accidentally fall into this operation. There was an agreed upon location for them to go to, and that's where they went, with the understanding that they would be sexually exploiting a child.
Lubbock police want parents to know the number of people preying on children across our area is increasing. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Local, state, and federal agencies are working hard to fight child sex crimes across the South Plains. They have recently arrested 5 men they say are responsible for the growing exploitation in our area.
KCBD News Channel 11's Case Wilbanks joined us in the studio with what we know about this special operation. Case?
Well, Karen and Abner, court records show us Lubbock police and investigators at all law enforcement levels work together for these stings. They use decoys to lure them in, which are specially trained officers who impersonated teenagers online. Now, these are the men that they targeted: 51-year-old Kelly Moore, 20-year-old Landon Hernandez, 55-year-old Joe Arredondo, 39-year-old Jose Salazar, and 24-year-old Eric Suniga. They are each accused of online solicitation of a minor. Records show they agreed to meet someone they thought was a child and pay to have sex with them. Police also arrested 36-year-old Renee Lincolna for soliciting prostitution. Now, records show they used the same tactic with him, but he is not charged for soliciting a minor. Investigators say they started this operation when they noticed an increase in predator encounters across Lubbock. They credit a partner agency with reporting the trend. Now officers want parents to know it's okay to talk about these hard subjects with your kids. Most importantly, they say that you should keep the lines of communication open for their own good.
Talk to them, ask them questions. You know, I think sometimes parents fall into the trap of not wanting to overstep, giving their child space to grow and become an adult. But the reality is, at the end of the day, these are still kids, and there are unfortunately predators out there who do want to exploit them.
Another important step is to know and understand the platforms your kids are using. These include social media, video games, chat services, text messages, and message boards. There are also parental controls on many of those platforms where you can control who they're talking to and how. Karen?
Thank you, Case. Good advice.
Another out-of-towner lands serious charges. A Mississippi man was arrested yesterday for molesting a child for several years, allegedly. Court documents say the victim disclosed that 34-year-old Tuan Wen had sexually abused her when she was around 4 or 5 years old until she was about 13. The victim told officials most of the abuse happened in Bay County. Wen was charged with 1 count of lewd or lascivious molestation on a child under 12 years of age and 3 counts of lewd and lascivious battery on a victim aged 12 to 16.
I'd like to remind you of a story that we reported a couple of weeks ago. This celebrity doctor who was accused of sexually assaulting one of his patients. It was caught on cell phone video as well. Well, today he is back in court after another woman came forward with similar allegations. Let's get to Sophia Hernandez, who joins us live outside of the jail with what you've learned, Sophia.
Yeah, well, the second woman came forward after our initial reporting on Ronald DeMayo's first arrest. Now, she told police that she was a frequent patient of his, but that she stopped seeing him in September of 2023. She told police that that was the day that she was sexually assaulted. According to arrest documents, the 39-year-old woman and her mother went to see this doctor for facial work and then a tattoo removal. When they were done, the woman and her mom were walking out of the office when DeMayo suggested the woman take an ice pack. The woman and DeMayo went to a small room, and according to arrest documents, he exposed himself. Arrest documents say the woman feared DeMayo would drug or hurt her if she did not do as he asked. Arrest documents state that when the woman asked to leave, DeMayo penetrated her without consent. The woman did not tell her mother of the incident, but did tell an employee what happened. That employee still works at DeMayo's office. Arrest documents say she corroborated the woman's story, adding to police that it was common that staff leave and that the doctor stays alone with clients. Now again, DeMayo, almost 2 weeks ago, was placed on house arrest, accused of sexual battery on a patient he drugged and assaulted. The incident caught on tape. Now, the judge today did bring up concerns as to why the doctor was not allowed to return to work, as these cases, one of them was from 3 years ago, the other from a year ago. However, as of right now, DeMayo is told to remain on house arrest. He is not able to return to work, and he does have his bond set at $7,500. Reporting live, Sophia Hernandez, NBC 6 News.
Greg, developing tonight, we now know why it took almost 2 years for police to charge a middle school teacher with having sex with his 13-year-old student. Channel 9's Nick Papantona is live outside of Tuscaloosa Middle School. And Nick, investigators say they knew some of the details, but not all of them.
Yeah, they said they had what they described as like borderline inappropriate messages, not fully inappropriate between the two, but not much else in terms of proof back then. They said the girl fully opened up to her mother about exactly what happened just last month, and then they began their investigation. Daniel Aliv accepted his new reality when a judge told him he'd stay behind bars 1 day after he was arrested on accusations he had sex with a 13-year-old student in his bathroom. Police say he took significant steps to groom the child, 26 years younger than him, including teaching her Morse code so they could talk at school, setting up extra email accounts and a bank account for the girl. They say he also dated the teen's mother specifically to get closer to his victim and moved her into more of his STEM and career classes without anyone else's approval.
He had 2 daughters, and they had their school activities and things going on, so we just thought he was really busy.
Police say Laliv also didn't say much when confronted about these accusations, telling them it's probably not a good idea without a lawyer. He hasn't worked at the school since he resigned in 2024 after he was suspended. The district spokeswoman saying they do not believe he targeted any other students. Laliv was, as I said, suspended in 2024. He is facing 2 felonies right now. His next court appearance is in May. Live in Seminole County, Nick Papantonis, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Osceola County Sheriff Chris Blackman. In the last week, our agency had a multi-agency undercover operation, which led to the arrest of 16 individuals associated with the Operation Ketchikan display. These 16 individuals came here intending to have sex with children, minors. All 16 were safely taken into custody. Let me be clear, we are actively pursuing those who prey on our children. Our mission is nothing more than protecting these kids from these predators. If they think anyone about harming children, we are watching them. These arrests are just the beginning. If you hunt our children, you will become hunters.
New details now. A Saginaw man pleading no contest to child porn charges. Saginaw County court records show Michael Tillman pleaded no contest yesterday to several felony charges, including 3 counts of possessing child sexually abusive material. Tillman was arrested last October after investigators learned he was uploading that material online. The judge is expected to sentence Tillman to at least 5 years in prison. He's being held at the Saginaw County Jail without bond until his sentencing on May 11th.
A 33-year-old Rolling Prairie man is under arrest after a months-long investigation into child exploitation. Trevor Humphrey was booked Wednesday into the LaPorte County Jail. He faces 10 counts of child exploitation. The sheriff's office says the case started in December of last year after a tip through the Internet Crimes Against Children data system. Investigators say they found video files they believe to be illegal. Police say Humphrey was later identified as a suspect and a warrant issued. Deputies served a search warrant at his home this morning, took him into custody. He remains in the LaPorte County lockup on a $25,000 cash-only bond.
Township man who spent 4 years in prison for sexually assaulting a minor was arrested again. Fairfield Township Police say 43-year-old Adam Kendall has an active case out of Ashland, Kentucky. He's accused of having sex with a teenager. Police got a tip that he had grenades and weapons at his home along Fairfax Avenue. The SWAT team served a search warrant there, which then led them to another location along Grand Boulevard in Hamilton. They say that's where they found several guns, including sawed-off shotguns, pistols, and several rifles.
A murder-suicide investigation under.
Peoria police submitted charges against both teachers to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, but prosecutors sent the cases back to law enforcement, asking for additional investigation.
And I'm not sure I've ever had a case in my 30 years of 2 females perpetrating against the same male victim.
2 teachers accused of abusing one student victim.
And it's feeling a need for attention, power, control, revenge, and then it can seem excessive or almost obsessive.
Child abuse prevention specialist Jessica Nicely and forensic psychologist Dr. Brecken Blades agree this case is highly unusual. Both Angela Berlacca and Haley Beck taught at Centennial High School in Peoria. Berlacca worked there for 25 years, and Beck got the job in 2020. The 2 educators were put on administrative leave in August 2025 after allegations of sexual conduct with a student came to light.
These women are the 4%, because 96% of the time child sexual abusers are men.
Berlacca voluntarily surrendered her Arizona teaching certificates, but Beck did not. And last week, the Peoria Unified School District Governing Board unanimously voted to fire her.
We send our kids to your schools 10 months a year, 5 days a week, 7 hours a day. So as a parent, I'm glad to see that these pedophiles like Haley Beck are being held accountable as much as possible.
In the district statement of charges document against Beck, it states she began grooming one of her students before he turned 18 in December 2024. Detectives believe the sexual harassment went on during his sophomore and junior years when she was his psychology and sociology teacher. Investigators claim Beck gave him special treatment in class, did his homework, and erroneously improved his grades and attendance record. Police say she gave him access to her car, bought him gifts, food, alcohol, and drugs, and even paid him more than $600, calling herself his sugar mama and writing it felt like straight prostitution. The investigation found in about 6 weeks they exchanged more than 4,000 texts about sexual and illegal activity.
They do a lot of sort of distorted thinking and manipulation of the facts, even as they're presenting them to themselves to make their behavior seem acceptable or okay.
I feel like when the perpetrator is a woman and the victim's a boy, people make jokes. It's not funny. It's not an achievement. He's a victim. That is not a relationship they were having. That is rape.
I tried to get in touch with both teachers, but did not hear back. Haley Beck can dispute her termination at a hearing with the district. She has 1 week from today to request that, and she hasn't done so yet. In the newsroom, Michaela Marshall for Arizona's Family.
Two more former Citadel cadets now facing charges for having child sex abuse materials. This comes after we first told you last week 2 cadets were no longer with the school after they were arrested.
News 4's Nick Bass joins us now. And Nick, what have you learned about those charges?
Well, Tessa, these affidavits accuse 19-year-old Bryce Lorymore and 22-year-old Tyler Washburn of having inappropriate fouls of minors on the one of the fouls dates back to 2023. Both men each face 10 counts of second-degree exploitation of a minor. Investigators say they got a tip last November that Lorymore uploaded a file back in September of 2023 containing child sexual abuse materials. Washburn is accused of uploading an inappropriate file on October 18, 2025. Warrants for their arrests were issued earlier this month at the Citadel. Detectives were able to find an email on Lorymore's phone linked to an account used to upload content and was deleted on the same day. Both Lorymore and Washburn had a $200,000 bond and have been released from jail. Caleb Swybaker and Joseph Aguilar were the first 2 cadets arrested. However, the Attorney General's office doesn't believe any of the 4 cases are connected. A Citadel spokesperson sent us this statement that reads, quote, "Neither Lorymore nor Washburn are currently enrolled at the Citadel." The Citadel responded immediately after the March 5th arrest. The president scheduled a corpse-wide assembly at the first possible opportunity, which took place on March 17th after spring furlough, as well as ordering the creation of additional required training for all students, which was deployed last week. All 4 suspects are no longer enrolled at the Citadel. Working for you, I'm Nick Bass, News 4.
A teacher from the Tucson Unified School District has been arrested for child sex crimes.
And new video tonight of 48-year-old Timothy James Sonier at his initial court appearance. He's been booked into the Pima County Jail after investigators found a device connected to a video possibly depicting child sexual abuse material. Sonier worked as a teacher at Dodge Traditional Magnet School within TUSD, as well as an athletic coach at Sal Point Catholic High School.
13 News reporter Raya Torres is joining us live from South Point this evening and tells us more about these shocking charges. Raya.
Shocking charges indeed, Dan. Now, these charges brought so much surprise to many people in this community, especially parents and students who were formerly under the direction of Sonier. Now, as you had mentioned, there are about 10 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor, which are really serious allegations, especially considering the fact that Sonier worked so closely with children. As you had mentioned, TPD had said that Sonier was a teacher within the Tucson Unified School District, specifically specifically at Dodge Traditional Magnet School within TUSD, and also worked as an athletic coach at South Point Catholic High School. TPD says this investigation began in December of last year when the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department received a report about someone uploading suspected child sexual abuse material. They determined the suspect was in Tucson and transferred the case to TPD. TPD managed to identify Sonier as the suspect and then served search warrants at his home and at Dodge Traditional Magnet School today. TPD says they found several devices in the search and then charged and arrested Sonier. Now, all of this comes as such a shock for so many people, especially those parents and children who were former students of Sonier. I spoke to one of them today. He is 18-year-old Christopher Armendariz Wilson, and he was Sonier's student when he attended Dodge Middle School about 4 years ago or so. And when he learned about these allegations against his former teacher, he said he was surprised and also disgusted.
It just feels really weird that someone that I knew personally could be involved with something like that, and me not knowing anything about that until now.
Christopher's mother, Alexandria, explained that at the time her kids were Sonier's students, she didn't feel insecure about having her kids under his care, but now she feels disturbed.
I was pretty shocked. I mean, we didn't have any issues while my kids were in his class. But I mean, just knowing that somebody could be employed in a school district dealing on a daily basis with children for that long of a period is pretty disturbing, pretty shocking.
Armendariz says she wonders how it was possible for Sonier to be in such close proximity to children when these charges are posed against him. Now, in a statement, the Tucson Unified School District said, quote, hiring documents show that the employee successfully passed a criminal background check and continued to maintain a valid fingerprint clearance card as required by the Arizona Department of Public Safety throughout his time as an employee of the district. They also go on to say, we want to reassure our community that this is an isolated incident that does not reflect the policies, values, or standards of behavior that we expect from our staff members. We are committed to maintaining a safe and supportive learning environment for all students. Sonier has been booked into the Pima County Adult Detention Center, and his bond has been set at $50,000. His preliminary hearing is set for April 6th, and he cannot have internet access and cannot be around any victims. Now, the Diocese of Tucson sent us a statement that said that they have reached out to students and families that had interacted directly with Sonier, and they're also making counselors available to any student or staff that needs it. They also had mentioned that employees and volunteers must go through a rigorous background check and hiring process, and they are not going to be commenting further to preserve the integrity of this investigation. Reporting live from Central Tucson, Raya Torres, 13 News.
Developing today, a teenager is being charged with child exploitation in Forest County. Deputies arrested 18-year-old Joshua Yarish Monday on child exploitation charges. We're told the investigation started after the victim's family reported the situation to law enforcement. The investigation is ongoing at this time. If you have any additional information, you are asked to contact the Forest County Sheriff's Office.
Broken clock on the back wall, counting down till the last bell rings. You lock the door with the plastic smile, say this is just our little secret thing. Ink stains on my test paper, your hand leaning where it shouldn't be. You twist the rules like a gold ring, say it's love, say it's meant to be. Leave the kids alone. Life in a cage is the place you go. gets half awake. You get years we can count on hands. We get scars we can't understand. Names on a list, they move you towns. Paper walls you still prowl around. Kids in rows like loaded guns. You pull the trigger, then you run. Leave the kids alone. You're the savior, you're a thief of hope. Predator in school clothes. Life in a cage is a place you go. See ya, Jomo. See ya, Jomo. We need justice, not a whispered story. Go. Leave the kids alone. Leave the kids alone. Leave the kids alone.
One for a rainbow, one for Amanda.
Who you playing with, sweetie?
Amanda.
Oh, who are you?
I'm Amanda. I'm 6, and I love unicorns.
Sexual predators are seeking kids online.
We don't know Amanda.
Learn how to report abuse at end-violence.org/protect.